Hello there guys, it's Stephen here, back with another video, and I was sat in the car today thinking, what am I going to discuss tonight on this video? What am I going to talk about? Because in general, I do what I do, a video a day. I said it at the end of the video last night at the Chelsea game. But I was sat there thinking, what can I talk about today, when I looked on Twitter and I saw Enes Unal, our Turkish wonder kid, had scored another beautiful goal in the Eredivisie. And I thought, why not? Hugh Wizzy tweeted about him as well, he quoted him a tweet. So I thought, I'm going to talk about Enes Unal because... is it Enes or is it Enes? Who knows? Because he's a beautiful man in more ways than one. Not only does he look like Johnny Depp and have this kind of graceful movie star appearance, he also has a fantastic ability to find the back of the net. And he seems to be causing quite a few headlines over in the Netherlands at the moment. And I know there are some alarm bells going up with some of you saying, it's just the Eredivisie, it's a nothing league, farmers and all that kind of stuff, and stat padding. And look at Vincent Janssen or Jose Altidore, or Alfonso Alves, who was at Middlesbrough years ago. All these players, you know, they're absolute flops. But it isn't as simple as that. As we know in football, things aren't as simple as that. Just because someone plays somewhere and does good in a league that's deemed inferior, it doesn't mean you therefore rule out their ability. So we're going to discuss quite a few factors. And I want to start initially with his style of play and why I personally like him. For one, he is a natural born goal scorer. Now, I'm not talking you John Guidetti, who went over there and scored 20 goals with about 15 tap-ins. I'm talking a variety of strikes. I'm talking chest in it, overhead kick, a bicycle kick. I've seen headers. I've seen snapshots from 20 yards. I've seen dipped knuckleball free kicks. The whole lot. He seems to have every single finishing ability possible. And that is what excites me. There's this almost Zlatan Ibrahimovic kind of, or Edison Cavani kind of swagger to him. He also reminds me a little bit stylistically of Lewandowski under Guardiola Bayern in terms of this big man, but he also has technical ability and looks like he goes in these hot kind of streaks of goal scoring form. And he does look kind of like the kind of player that one day in the future could score one game 5 goals in 50 minutes like Lewandowski did. He looks up to be that kind of confident, instinctive finisher, something that comes very natural to him. He also has this tendency as well to always find the sweet spot in the corner, just out of reach of goalkeeper, that he can do nothing about. That's an instinct that you can't really teach people, and that's what I like about him. Now obviously there was a little bit of a goal drought over the winter period. That's going to happen with any young player, and strikers sometimes do that, but it's how they bounce back. He started off like wonderfully in the Eredivisie, scoring loads of goals for FC Twente, and then he had a bit of a drought where he didn't score for nearly 2 months. It might have even been 2 months, but since then he started scoring wonderful goals again. This one he scored tonight was another peach where he dipped past a defender on the edge of the area and fired it into the bottom corner from 20 yards. And I really like that. It shows that it is inbuilt into him. It shows that it's part of his DNA to score goals, and I'm sure he will always do that. He may have spells where he doesn't score for 10 games, but even Aguero goes several games without scoring sometimes. Even the very best strikers in the world do it. So that's natural, and that doesn't concern me at all. But what I do like is that it comes instinctively for him. Now, obviously, there are some problems with his work permit situation. Barring a miracle, maybe the special talent kind of scenario, it's unlikely that he might not even be able to play for us next season. He might have to wait another year until he gets more caps for Turkey, because even though he is a prodigious talent, he's still only played 3 or 4 or 5 times for Turkey. Not very many times anyway, put it that way. So there is some work to do there to maybe get him a chance to play over in this country. But he also has a very strong claim to be a special talent. I think he's now the highest ever Turkish goal scorer in the Dutch league. And I'm sure City could maybe put some clause or some claim that he become a special talent and get special dispensation to play in England next year if they want to. It is fair to worry about the quality of football over there. I mean, there is some naff players who've done a lot of good things over there, have come from that country. But there also is a lot of very good players who've done the same thing over there. And I don't think it's fair to rule out a player based on what they've achieved somewhere. If you look at someone like Aaron Moy, now he came from the A-League in Australia. That's a vastly inferior league to most leagues in world football. And he's made the team of the season over the Championship. So he's proved himself to be the equivalent of a Premier League player from the Australian League. Now, most people would say there's no way you can sign a player from the Australian League and be good enough for the Premiership. And Aaron Moy, by being in the Championship team of the season, in my opinion, has proved that he's good enough to play in the Premiership. Now, is it really that hard then to presume that someone who's done very well in the Eredivisie could also score goals in the Premier League? Of course it doesn't. If someone can be good enough from the A-League, and this is just one example, obviously there's hundreds and hundreds of more stronger examples than that, then surely they can be good enough in the Premier League too. Look at Virgil van Dijk, one of the standout players for Celtic, and he's also one of the standout centre-halves in the Premier League. Now, you wouldn't just turn around and say, oh, it's Scotland, he must be rubbish. Sometimes that is true, But just because I'm in a lower league doesn't mean they're not good enough. And even though he may not be good enough, we don't know yet. We can't use it as set evidence to rule him out, because I think it's unfair to him. He only turns 20 next month. He's still incredibly young, and every task that we've given him so far, he seems to be confronting it with this arrogance and this confidence and this swagger that I love. I do love that about him, by the way. The fact that when he scores a goal, he does that almost Ibrahimovic-esque arms out stance, and he knows that he believes in himself, and that kind of stuff is vital. He doesn't seem like a bad kid. He doesn't seem arrogant to the point where there's an Ibrahimovic level of attitude there. He just seems to have a lot of self-belief. Apparently he's into his philosophy. He's a big reader, which is always a good sign for a footballer, because I can't imagine many of them are big on their philosophy, apart from Joey Barton, but I think that's probably a bit of an act, if we're being honest. But yeah, I can't imagine many are readers, and I think it's an interesting sign that a player, obviously, is a lot more mature than most of his peers would be. Only 19, he already speaks very good English, apparently. So the signs are very good that he's mentally very prepared for this challenge. It's also worth considering, too, that he took a huge risk leaving Turkey. Now, that might sound mad, but Turkey, they are genuinely mad for football over there. They live it, they breathe it. We all saw the reaction Darius Vassell got all those years ago when he signed for a mid-table Turkish club, but that was Darius Vassell. He could have gone to Galatasaray, Besiktas, Fenerbahce. He could have been a millionaire over there with very little need to go anywhere else in European football, but he hasn't chosen that route to go to one of the big Turkish teams. He wants to go to the European elite leagues, the very top leagues, and he obviously wants to go to Manchester City in the Premier League. I like that. It shows that he doesn't want to be a big fish in a small pond. The Turkish league is good, but it isn't the pinnacle of world football. He wants to be better than that, and I like that sign of his general belief in his own ability. Now, obviously, the question is, will he even get in the team if he comes in? Now, he obviously isn't going to displace Aguero straight away, but there are some doubts over Aguero's long-term future at City with Guardiola. Whether that's justified or not, they are still there. Gabriel Jesus, obviously, he's going nowhere anytime soon, but Kelechi, yeah, breaks my heart to say, but it doesn't look like Pep really sees much in him. Now, Unal might look at that situation and think there's only two there, then maybe guaranteed to be ahead of me, and I could be that third man, so to speak. Jesus already had an injury. We all know about Aguero's injuries. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that he could be second choice striker if Kelechi leaves on loan next season, given the fact that one of the players might be injured. Chances would come for him, and City could maybe do with someone a little bit bigger, someone who gives us a second option, a second way of playing football. Pep isn't above crossing if we have the right people. He isn't above finding the head of a target man. He proved that with buying that Lewandowski could be a more traditional striker, not some kind of only into feet kind of man. And Al could do that for us, and maybe we do need a second chance, second type of play, so to speak. And given the fact that this season Pep's been really critical about how loose we are in terms of finishing chances, maybe Al could force his way into the squad next season, or at least if he gets a work permit. But it isn't impossible that he could impress a few people there, because he obviously is an instinctive finisher, and he'd bring something different. It's that variety of goals that really makes him stand out as an exciting talent. Now, obviously, there are plenty of kind of barriers to entry there. You might not get a work permit. We might decide he needs another season out on loan, and that might be. But do I think he has potential to play for Manchester City? Yeah. I strongly believe he does. I think he's a very exciting young player. I think he's got a lot of natural belief. I think he's got a lot of ability in those boots, and he's an instinctive goal scorer, and that is invaluable. That kind of stuff doesn't come naturally from most people. And to find someone who has technical ability, has self-belief, is already ours for peanuts at the end of the day, and can score your goals at a high level. You can't let go of people like that in a rush, and City won't be doing that. They'll be watching him closely. It might be that he has another season away, but I'm hoping that we see Unal sooner rather than later, because I think he could surprise people. I think he could be that kind of Dzeko influx of goals that we've been missing recently, and I would like to see him there. So what do you guys think anyway? Let me know in the comments. Will we see Enes Unal be our first Turkish superstar for a long time, if not ever? There probably is a Turkish player I'm not thinking of that we've had at City. Have we had any Turkish players at City? So let me know in the comments. I'm sure someone will come back to me almost immediately. Anyway, guys, let me know what you want to see discussed tomorrow. It'll probably be a preview, actually, for the whole game. But yes, if you like this video and want to see more like this, let me know in the comments. I will see you soon. Subscribe if you haven't already.